Good morning, crackbook, as I like to call you. Well, this morning has already got off to a great start because I've been onto the phone to BBC Midlands just to make sure that everything is working today with what them guys are doing, because they're covering a couple of different angles of National Adoption Week, but obviously they are very, very, very aware that it's going to tip it in our favour today, because they're bringing the professionals forward, but these are professionals that have been about trying to help understand why the system is going so wrong. So anyway, this is what I call my public page. It's what I call it's my business page. It's where I do my coaching. Not that I do any coaching at the moment. And it's where I deal with my stuff. It's where I basically use social media to help me through my own grief, my own pain, and my own mental health, as you per se call it, and my own journey sort of with Aaron and Faith. But anyway, I have here just a quick thing, because this is completely different, right? You want to Nana? I'm just shooting off over to the toy thing. I have here a Portsmouth budget. Because I've been speaking to Portsmouth Papers this morning, because we're hoping literally on Friday they're going to try and shoot mine out from this side, because obviously this week, the reason that I'm doing a lot of social media is it's a National Adoption Week, and obviously my main thing is to break my own gag. 2 of my children were also taken for forced adoption, and it's why I have been here ever since campaigning. But I just wanted to quickly, in fact, I can just say a quick say hello, because my friend Alan's outside. Okay, hang on a minute. Just 2 seconds, because I want to use Alan as an example. Right, my friend Alan. Alan, I'm on live, but oh for me a minute. Say hello. Hello. Say oh. I'll catch you in a minute. Right, so my friend Alan is down there, right? And I say my friend Alan. I'm stood on the trampoline trying to get this curtain back up. And I say my friend Alan because the majority of you would see Alan and you would call him homeless man. He has pretty much got his army clothes on. He is an alcoholic. He does take drugs. And to the majority of the population, somebody like Alan would be somebody that you either get a vote of an award because you do amazing stuff for the homeless, and oh, what a lovely, amazing person you are. Or you just, have you dropped your Nana down on the floor? Is that what's going on? Or just that, you know, I'll get on all right with Alan. Look at me. You want another Nana? 2 seconds. My son wants another Nana. And I'm also getting ready to go over to his toy zone today, where yet again, as I will be over there, the majority of the parents are under social services, are under mental health, are persecuted by this system. So today is quite a big day for us because BBC Midlands is going to be shooting things in the opposite direction. I'm rambling because I'm multitasking yet again. And also some of the times that I come onto social media, it's because I'm trying to calm my own head down and my own thinking down. And I can see why he's whinging now, because there's an advert on YouTube. And I should actually watch these adverts a little bit more, because sometimes they're not quite appropriate, even though it's a children's channel. Let Mummy just turn that off for you so I can speak to these... Speak to these guys. Talk. So anyway, take Alan as an example, right? And I absolutely love and adore Alan, right? The other day, the local councillor, right, was walking down the road, and I'm just putting Blippi on, sorry guys. It's not, like I said the other day, it's not actually easy for me to decide when to do lives, because I've either got to wait until my children are asleep, and having both of them asleep at the same time is not necessarily the easiest of things. And one always wakes up before the other, so therefore then I have to sort of come off and things like that. But hello there, Porky. I don't like saying the word. It reminds me of that film, Porky's. So anyway, the reason that I came on today was Portsmouth News did a article today about a young lad that unfortunately finally took his life, and they're doing this whole awareness thing on mental health, right? Now, as we all know, I battle with suicide on a daily basis, and I have done since Aaron and Faith were taken, more so since they were placed with their adoptives and when I knew that this was all going to be over. And I am actually diagnosed with borderline personality. And I'm just going to talk about this very briefly because I've never actually talked about this. And I'm not going to necessarily talk about this on YouTube. It's all going to be in my book. You can read about it all and stuff like that. But literally, when I was about 15, I used to take overdoses on pretty much a daily basis. I used to pray that every morning I wouldn't wake up. Do you know why? I missed my dad. At the end of the day, it was all over this feeling of not knowing where my dad was. I'd gone from being a girl who literally from the age of 3 all the way through to the age of 11 pretty much permanently lived on her dad's shoulders. I was a daddy's girl. I was through and through a daddy's girl. You know, I lived with my dad and my ex-stepmom. I didn't live with my mum. I lived with my dad. My ex-stepmom was pretty much the person that raised me. I'm knackered this morning. Can you hear it? I feel like I've just ran up and down loads of stairs. I think it's because I'm nervous that I've never actually really talked about this publicly. And also because I've got the 2 boys, I'm nervous about what I say all the time because I'm in a damned if I do, damned if I don't situation. If I don't get help for things, then I put my children at risk. If I do get help for things, then I put my children at risk. But obviously, I'm dealing with the residual of trying to move on with my life with my 2 children and their father. I would say partner, but I'm still blocked at the moment. You know, and there's this residual because it's pulling me from the family and the life that I once had. And it's a very, very difficult place to be in because unlike parents who have literally just lost their children and don't have any other children and don't have to get on with any normal life, you've got choice. You either put your head on the pillow and you give up and you cry yourself every day, or you get up and you start fighting back. But you've got nothing to lose. So you can scale buildings, you can take down the M25 like we have done. You know, you can chock-a-block in MPs, you can face being arrested, you can go hard and fast at it every day because ultimately you have nothing to lose. Now the difference with me is I have got these 2 little beauties, you know, who's giving you a raging big smile there, and obviously I can't be out scaling buildings and blocking down M25s and, you know, protesting in the way that I want to do. And that hurts me because it pulls me into a polarity of which children matter first. You know, is it the fact that, you know, Liam and Daniel and then Aaron and Faith and then, you know, Elijah and Shiloh. But I have 6 children. And my children all have the right to have the same relationship with each other. And this is what I've been thinking about this morning, because yesterday I was talking to a family, and in fact I think I spoke to a couple of families quite intensive yesterday. And what is really annoying me and why I want to link this to suicide and mental health is not only are they separating parents from their children and children from their parents, they're separating siblings from each other. I've even got 2 girls who are in the same college, sisters, and they're not allowed to talk to each other. In fact, if they speak to each other, they're then getting reprimanded and stuff, and that's crazy. And they're even going to look at moving these girls from the same college, even though they're of age, to actually make their own decisions, but they're made to feel really bad every day because they're not allowed to talk to their own full-blood sister. You know, I've got Aaron and Faith that are taken, but you know, they were with their Liam and Daniel, and Liam and Daniel was so damn close to their brother and sister, it was unbelievable. And then, of course, I've got Elijah and Shiloh here that, you know, they can walk down the street and it looks lovely. I've got, you know, two brothers that are so close to each other. But the reality is they have other brothers and sisters and they have a right to know each other. And what this does is this causes trauma. Now, I was sitting last night, right? I'm on my live page and I feel like I should be talking about this in my office page because not everybody on my live page is about FEA. I've got everybody from the National Achievers Congress through here, media, journalists, blah, 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 blah. I should maybe be talking about this in my office because it's for the parents. But I was going through Nadim's, so basically Nadim Zawouli, or whatever his name is, I'll get it right one day, going through his job description as the Minister of Education. And as it was listing down, I'm going, oh my goodness, this is all the problems. So basically he's working for all the problems. So the reason that I've come on today is we are human beings, okay? Okay, we are spiritual beings having a human experience if we want to get three-dimensional. But this is a physical human body, right? This is our mind and our brain. Then we've got all of our skeletons and bones things. And we have these things called emotions, okay? And when a child is taken from their parent, it causes an emotion. It causes an absolute pain. And that happens on both sides of the coin. That happens from the parent side and from the child's side. When you try to separate a bond between a mother and a child and a father and a child, and also the mother and the father, because at the end of the day, two people decided to come together and consummate between each other, that means that they've created a mass energy between us, because sex wasn't about fucking. Yeah, it was never about going out to a nightclub, getting really pissed and going home for a shag. That's not what, you know, sex was made for. And it also wasn't about misunderstanding love and communication between an innocent person, that you can take the innocence from a child just because you want to have an ejaculation or stick your dick into something. Okay, you know, it was about making love. It was about two people coming together to create a chemical balance between and committing to each other that then ultimately goes on to create this most amazing, beautiful thing called child. You know, so the actual chemical sort of makeup of that, I've got Elijah walking. ABC's on. ABC's. He's obsessed with ABC's. ABC's on. Let's get ABC's on. Should be a fucking actor, mate. But anyway, I can put ABCs on when I can find the remote control. But anyway, my point being is we are made up of energy. That's it. It's energy, perpetual transmutation, if you want to get political with me. And we are basically a ball of fire. We are literally, whether you can see it in our physical body or not, we are literally 100% a cosmic energy force that runs on positives and negatives. And at the end of the day, whether it be the trauma of a child being taken, or whether it be the trauma of being separated from somebody, or some grief, if you just take the fact that you might really like a guy or a girl, and you might want to go out with that guy or that girl, and that guy or that girl rejects you, doesn't that create an emotion in you? Of course it does. So trauma on trauma on trauma on trauma on trauma on trauma eventually gets people to the point that they can't cope with it. And then all of a sudden they don't want to be in this world. And if someone tells you, I'm struggling, I feel like giving up today, I've had enough today, please don't look at that person and think, oh my goodness, they're attention seeking. And if you look at psychology, yeah, they will go, oh, you know, it's the narcissist, by the way, that if you try leaving them, they're going to tell you that they're going to commit suicide. This is an emotional abuse. No, they're telling you that you are leaving them and it is hurting them and they don't know how to deal with the emotion. And ultimately, they just want to get out of this reality because they don't understand how to deal with the emotional complex pain that they are experiencing at that time. And the easiest thing to do is to either mask that with a medication, mask that with alcohol, mask that with drugs, mask that with sex, mask that with shopping, mask that with mask, 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 mask. And that is what we do. We put layers and layers and layers and layers of masks on. And eventually we get to the point where these masks cover our entire identity. We get to points where we go, holy fuck, where, how have I got to this point? A majority of people don't even know themselves. They can't even tell you who they are, what they are about, what they stand for, what they believe in, what their moral integrities are, what passions, interests. And the majority of people, if I asked you, what do you love? You wouldn't have a clue, because the majority of people don't love themselves. And this is the battle that we are dealing with in this entire world. My friend Alan. And he is my friend Alan. He's looking... Seriously, it's my friend Alan, and I do call him my friend. There's a lot of people that I don't call a friend, but I call Alan my friend, and he's currently looking for probably tobacco on the floor, or, I'm going to go and take him down some tobacco in a minute, because I can't seriously sit him watching him pick it up off the floor, but he gets it. But, the majority of people, what I see is you're either a professional who does this because your own ego, and in churches, I see churches doing it, and the only reason that they're out there is they believe that Jesus is going to save them because they're going to hand out some sandwiches to somebody who's homeless. Do you know what handing sandwiches out to somebody who's homeless does? It gives them constipation. Actually, you have to be really careful what you feed somebody who lives on the streets, because the majority of them can't access toilets. And unless you've been in that situation, being homeless, you can't for a life imagine what it's like that you have to actually go for a shit in the bush. Yeah, most people don't get this. Yeah, the majority of people who deal with homelessness take them blankets at winter. Why the hell would you want to take a homeless person a blanket? It gets wet. In fact, it's the blanket that causes for people to die on the streets. And that's what I'm trying to say. People don't understand things from other people's points of view. They only understand from their own thinking, their own understanding, and their own interpretation. And this is why the system is going so wrong. It's not that. It's this massive, big grandeur. It's not that this is this massive, big grandeur conspiracy, because there is, but that was set like 400 years ago. It's just that, hello Danielle, it is just that we just don't see from other people's points of views. You can't see from mine, and I can't see from yours. We can do our best. We can have some form of empathy. Now, I know that the majority of people here have children missing from them. I understand my pain. I understand how I deal with it. I understand how it hurts me, but I can't for the life of me understand how it hurts you. I can have some form of compassion, but I can't truly see from your point of view, just like you can't see from mine. And this is why it's going so wrong. Now, yesterday I did a live showing a film called Leave No Trace. And it was about a nomadic family that were living in the forest, and social services pulled them in, and then they put them through the psychological assessments that we all go through. Now, the reason that we go through these psychological reports is because these social workers don't know us. They are just pen pushers who's sitting in an office, who've had a phone call or an email or some form of correspondence to say that a child is at risk. Now, Superman, the hero, is running to the rescue. But actually, the majority of people that contact social services are families where their children are uncontrollable to the parent per se. So say they may have some form of learning challenge and they're not getting on at school. It could even be that dad's left and the child is acting out and nobody ever really understands. Now let me get one thing clear. When you see a weed, you don't see the root. So if I go out into the garden right now and I see a stinging nettle, I can see the leaves and I can actually I know if I touch that leaf, I'm going to get stung. But what you can't see is the root. And this is what is going on and why this system is going so bad. Everybody is feeling the stinging nettles and the prickliness. And everybody is thinking, well, the easiest thing to do is either to just not let you go near it and touch it. Now, I find this really funny because the easiest thing to do is just rip the root out and get rid of it, and therefore you can't get stung. But, okay, some weeds are nice flowers, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a weed. And how do you get rid of weeds? Now, actually, I've just contradicted myself there, because would you consider my friend Alan a weed? What functional, what functionality does somebody like Alan have to this society? You know, he walks around the streets, he talks to absolutely everybody. He's one of the kindest, nicest men you'll ever meet. But, but to everybody else, he's not. To everybody else, he's a rogue, he's a criminal, he's vermin, he's an alcoholic, he's a drug dependent, he's dirty, he smells. Do you know what? They make me laugh out there at the moment. You know, they're trying to see whether some trousers are going to fit them that somebody's just given them, and yeah. And you know what? When I go out there, because I'm going to go across in a minute, and I'm going to go over to the children's centre, the first thing Alan will have for me is a load of hair bubbles, because he knows whenever I'm chatting and the wind is going, I always go, oh, for fuck's sake, I need a hair bubble. So he walks around and he collects me hair bubbles, and then by the time I see him, he's got a whole arm of hair bubbles, you know, from the runners that are dropping their hair bubbles as they're falling out. But he does, and as soon as I see him, he'll hand me 4 or 5 hair bubbles, because he knows that, you know, ultimately, I was actually having a look, so I've probably got one of his hair bubbles laying around somewhere that will get thrown into my hair in a minute. But anyway, I'm rambling. My point is, at the end of the day, you've got to get to the root of the problem before you can even understand, what's going on. And all I'm seeing in psychology and in social services is the weed matter, is the stinging nettle matter, is the, oh my goodness, if I go anywhere near this parent, I'm potentially going to get stung. So the easiest thing to do is to throw the parent away and take the child. But the reality is whatever it is that you're having a go at the parent for, you've just created in the child yourself. So the moment that child was removed from its mother, you have just started off the acorn that I was talking about the other day, that's going to grow into a massive big tree. And ultimately that child is going to go off to have the same rejection issues, the same trauma. And then ultimately people then going to see the residual of that. And that child is then going to have the same labels act out. And then, you know, if a child is sitting in class and the teacher sees a chair going across because he's thrown it, they just see the anger. They just see the fact that a child has thrown the chair across, and they see that behaviour is wrong. What they don't look at is why that child threw that chair. And why that child threw that chair is because he doesn't know how to express his emotions. And we as a British society haven't been taught how to express our emotions. Have you ever noticed I get nervous, about doing live feeds with my children? And the reason is because my children will express every emotion. You can hear them chatting right now. And in a moment you might hear one of them fall over and cry. It might even be that one of them comes to me and asks me something, but my children will show every emotion that they need to express. If they want to cry, they cry. If my son was to fall down right now and bang his knee or bang his head, ultimately he is going to cry. If my son tries to get over something and he's get frustrated, he's going to show you his frustration. If all of a sudden he's trying to do something else and people are getting in his way, he's going to show you his anger. But also, if he sees something and it's funny, he's going to show you that he's happy. He's going to show you his joy. Yet we live in a society right now that you can have one emotion only.
Yes, sir. No, sir. 3 bags full, sir. Obey.
Obey. Obey. Do as you're told. If you do as you're told, then you are a good little child and a good little boy. But actually, I don't teach my children to do as they are told. I teach my children to do as they want to do. Well, the only problem with the milk, darling, is we've got to go to the shop. I can give you... No, we've got to go to the shop, dude. It's shopping day today. hey. Like I've just said, he's asked me something. Where's your cup gone? And I'm not able to meet his needs absolutely immediately. So straight away, my son has shown you frustration. Now, if I don't meet my needs of my son quite quickly, then he has every right to start showing me anger because he has a need and I'm not meeting it. Well, I actually am. I'm just trying to find his cup. His cup is in here somewhere. But like he said the other day on the video, and it was actually Elijah who said it, he said, have patience. So he knows that Mummy is also working. Mummy is also doing stuff, if I call it working, and he's being patient. But right now, if he actually wanted to demand what he wanted from me, and water, drink, is actually a vital need of his, for him to have the correct fluid a day, or the food a day, now he expresses happiness. There you go. What do you say, sweetheart? There you go. Now he's got his water and he's showing happy because his need has been met. So, and it's exactly the same as us. We all have needs and those needs need to be met. And if those needs are not met, therefore we are out of line with our true authentic self. Yeah. But it's also about teaching them that those emotions and feelings are okay. That's it. And this is where trauma comes in. And this is where I'm going to, because I've got to get my kids over to their group. And then I've got to go off and get a coat. Yeah, I got a winter coat this year. But it is about, like I say, if you tell a child, thank you for listening, that's amazing. But sometimes that child isn't going to listen. But what you're teaching them is then they are bad. So if a child expresses anger, that's okay. He's okay. It may just be that I need to maybe calm him down and I may have to ask him, how are you feeling? What is going on? Talk to me, explain to me, how you're feeling, what you're thinking. But for me to turn around and go, oh, shut up. Hello. I just had to make sure that they didn't think I was talking to them. But to completely deny a child's feelings, and it's exactly the same with adults, to completely deny how they're feeling, you're telling them that their feelings are wrong. But they're their feelings. So if I tell you that I've had enough, I can't take any more right here, right now, that's how I feel. That doesn't mean that in half an hour that I may break through or somebody may say something that helps me see something different, change my perspective. But right here, right now, because I'm talking about suicide, if somebody is telling you that they are at the end of their tether and they don't know any other way other than taking their lives out of it, it is not for any other person to tell them that is not how they feel, because that is how they feel. It's about people accepting that that is how they feel and working with where they are to where they need to go from there. When you deny how somebody feels and tell somebody they're wrong, that is how we cause mental health. That is how we cause trauma. That is how we cause for people to be able to... I was just reading Nicola's post at the same time as talking. What was Nicola saying? It's like social workers want parents to be robots. Exactly. I'm just going to press see more. So if this cusses me out, because I just want to actually see what else Nicola has just said there, but it's not actually letting me, I'm afraid. No, I'm sorry. If I press see more, it's not letting me open it at the moment. But she's basically saying that, if you're sad, you're emotionally unstable. Well, so fucking what? If you're sad, it's because you've got a lot of people around you, or the sun hasn't been out for a couple of days. Did you know that if the sun has not been out for a while, that people start to feel emotionally sad? They even have a label for it called sad. If all of a sudden, if you're laying there rocking with your baby, look at me before I go, let me give you this image. You're laying there in a hospital ward. You've just had a baby. And the baby is sitting in the crib. And you're looking at this baby. And part of you is wanting to pick him up and love him and nurture him. The other half of you doesn't know what to do. Because you've been told that they're going to come through this door and they're going to take that baby. Does the mother pick the baby up and hold the baby and keep the baby close to him? Does she love him, protect him, and know that this is the last moments with him? Or does she leave him in the crib and turn her back on the baby, knowing full well they're going to take him anyway? Now, if a social worker walks in and sees the mother turn the back on the baby anyway, they will adjust. They will literally instantly see that as neglect. But at the end of the day, you're coming in to take that person's baby. And how somebody chooses to react to whether or not they reject that child or not is completely and utterly natural. Yeah, I can sit down. It is completely natural. Now, we may look at that and go, yeah, but she's just reject the baby. Yeah, but you've just told her you're going to take her baby from her. On some people, the natural thing would be to hold on to that baby and not let them go. But when you know you can't fight them and you can't connect a bond with that baby, sometimes the natural thing to do would be to reject it. And I see social workers saying, yeah, but parents didn't turn up at contact. I understand where they're coming from. Now, I would meet every contact, and it was only one that I was told that I failed to attend, but I wasn't told that was why. But, to some people, it's easier to pull out. I'm going through it with the boy's dad right now. He's had children alienated from him by other mothers, and he's sort of expecting me to do the same. So he would rather completely shut down than sort of keep that relationship going. And those feelings are completely natural, and we have a right to feel exactly the way that we need to feel. It's about our communication and understanding and how to explain how we're feeling, and also being in relationship with somebody who wants to understand those feelings or that anger or that frustration. So yeah, that was pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. I'm going to go and get ready. I'm going over to the mother and baby group this morning. I've got a couple of families over there that are currently going through social. Morning, Chris. Currently going through social, and we just sort of have a coffee and a chat, and try to change the way that it's being dealt with, because even though she's working with the mental health people, she's also facing the fact that they could remove the children as well. Elijah, can I just jump up a minute and just go and sort this thing out before Shiloh takes the stereo out? Quick. Good boy, thank you. That could cause a riot, because obviously he was naturally feeding. Oh, my equipment is so shit. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to shoot off over there. But what I basically wanted to talk about this morning was that the system gives all these labels, but when you get to the root of it, it's just about our feelings and emotions, and most people don't understand. We're just taught happy, sad, angry, frustration. In fact, hey Mike's just come on, and actually it's Mike's kids that I was talking about a moment ago, when I was talking about the two girls that go to college but aren't even allowed to have normal sibling relationships. And obviously Mike can tell his own story. I speak to Mike, his wife, and some of his children on a regular basis while they're going through what they're going through. Natasha Rose William, this is the lady I was telling you about. Follow her, she knows her stuff. I think that's somebody who's tagged me with somebody else. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm going through it myself at the moment. It is National Adoption Week, and it is triggering me every day, because I'm also looking on the wall to see whether or not any of these adopters are from Wrexham. I'm looking to see whether they mention Aaron and Faith. I've also got the fact that the media can't tell my story because I've got draconian gagging orders on me. And we're trying to find so many loopholes. I speak to the media every day, guys. I have amazing, beautiful people that are going, right, okay, but how can we maybe get this story out? Or maybe how we can do it this way? Or I know, but what if we come out from this angle? Maybe we can get it to go in this angle. So today, it's a grandmother and Anna from Baswa. So that's going to unfold. So don't forget, everybody's going to go through till Friday. Friday, guys. Friday, guys, I'm hoping to God. You want me to sit back down again? 2 seconds. I'm hoping by Friday that a lot of us are all in the right position to literally get onto our YouTube channels, tell our stories, and then we can keep this going, because at the end of the day, they're going to keep pushing for support adoption. And as long as they keep pushing for support, and I'm not saying don't support adoption, I'm saying support families first. You know, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what somebody's going through. There should be support for pretty much absolutely everything. And we live in a Western society where there is, you know, there is help for homelessness. There is help for drug rehabilitation, alcohol rehabilitation. There is help for pretty much everything. It's just that it's different pockets and it's different budgets, and it's all about what is the cheapest option. And to take a child and throw it over to adoptive parent, you know, to them seems like the cheapest option, but in the long run it isn't. In the long run, it's creating absolutely catastrophic situations. But if you actually look at FEA, they're having awards about these nights. Hey, let's all have a round of applause for the parent that took on the most emotionally damaged child. Hey, those parents really fucked them kids up, didn't they? No, they didn't. Unfortunately, some children are abused. But do you know what? When there is actual real abuse and they get their help with it, that trauma heals and it goes, and children don't carry on. When you deny the trauma, that is when it comes systemic. That's when it carries on. And that is when ultimately children are then, you know, kicking off even further, and all the social workers and adoptive parents are seeing is children sitting under tables, children who are being ruly, children who are telling them hate to them, because at the end of the day they don't understand the pain and the feeling of what you've done. You've taken them from their parents. Look, Mike's here, yeah, so before I go, I want to use Mike as an example, right? I've known Mike and Mel and their 12 children for pretty much since my own children were taken, because Mike contacted me when he was going through social services, right? I have known these children. I haven't met them personally, but I do speak to them and I know what goes on. Okay, they got a family of 12, and Mike is a really shrewd, like, you do your homework first, you go to school, no, you don't have boyfriends until you're older, your education comes first. And there isn't a parent in this land that wouldn't disagree with Mike, you know. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to talk on and off about it because I could be here all day. But at the end of the day, right, and this is exactly the same as another family and mine, and probably many other children that we know. Mike had a very happy family. Yeah, they do things as a family. They go out as a family. They enjoy their lives as a family. He teaches family values. Now he's got children that are running away from foster care, who are running home. He's got 2 older boys that are getting into trouble at school because they're meeting up with their brother, that they're getting in trouble from the social workers because, you know, they're having secret phone calls to try to meet up with their brother, and they're running home. And all in all, it's the parents that are getting the shit because they think that they're coercing them to run home. No. Police came in through the night, took these children on a regular basis. They do this now. Took the children. The children have been placed separately in separate places. So you've gone from the tightest bond ever of a mother and father and 12 kids who eat together, sleep together, pray together, go out together, spend their times together. I don't know if they pray together. But now, all of a sudden, you've got the adult children at home with mum and dad. Even I think the 16-year-old is still at home with mum and dad. Now, all of the children under that have been separated and put into foster care placements all the way, you know, so I can't think which one's together. But like I was saying, so there's 2 that go to the same college together that are in different placements, and they're not allowed to talk to each other. So then when you've got the two twin girls running home and you've got the boys coming home, then they're being bounded and offshored by the police yet again. And in fact, actually, sometimes it takes up to 24 hours for social services to even actually contact Mike to let them know that their children have run away. Luckily, they're running home, isn't it? And they're actually at home sitting down having a meal with mum and dad. But mum and dad get into trouble with this. So the reason that I want to just say this is social are seeing the consequences of the removal. They are assessing families based on trauma that they've caused, and then they're writing reports based on the trauma they have caused, because they can't assess what the family was like before because they don't know them back then. And it's only once they've come in and interfered with the family, because for social services to come in without parents' consent is rape. It is rape. That is what they are doing. They may not be physically taking your clothes off and my kids are here, but they are emotionally, physically raping you because they're forcing you to do something against your own will, and that is rape. And the consequences of what they're doing to these families is becoming absolutely barbaric, and then the reports are written on that. So Mike's situation is Mike is in court tomorrow. All those reports, they've had their contacts stopped. Yeah, but do you know why they've had their contacts stopped? They've had their contacts stopped because, one, Mike isn't allowed to attend contact. So they are trying to say that Mike is driving his wife to the contact. They've been married 21 years, guys. 21 years, and they're trying to separate these people. That is ridiculous. So mum turns up to contact, and one of the boys is not allowed to be there because he's not allowed to see his own sibling. So therefore the police have to come, and then all of a sudden contact is closed down. So mum and dad are going to stand in court on Friday, basically with contact closed down, unruly children, and everybody's going to point the fingers at mum and dad. Well, mum and dad didn't cause this. Social caused this. False accusations caused this, and then also to the point that they've had social in their life on and off for so many years that all of a sudden now it's come to the point where parents have had enough and they wonder why they don't want to work with them. Well, it's one of the most barbaric things I've ever seen. Look, I speak to the couple, well, I at least speak to my, at least each week, or it might go couple of days and, you know, give me a call, or they might be in court. You know, I'll probably speak to them today because they're in court tomorrow. But all I see is emotionally upset, absolutely worn out family who've got to go to court on Friday, and not one of them paperwork will represent that family, because it won't be a whole report on the artistic qualities. It won't be a report on, you know, the meals that they have. It won't be a report on how close all the family is. You know, nobody is going to stand there in that court and say, you know, this is an absolute barbaric situation, that we've gone from families that are so close and so loving and supportive to all of a sudden they've been pulled to pieces, traumatised. The children are running away. I'll turn the adverts off for you. The parents are completely, you know, at a loss to what to do, and we need to bring this family back together. No. I mean, the chances are the 15 and 16-year-old are going to end up probably becoming people that hate the police, and then actually ultimately spending their lives in and out of prison. Why? Because you took them away. The police assaulted them. You know, this 15-year-old has been assaulted by the police on every occasion that he's been removed back home. It's crazy. But anyway, what does this cause? It causes mental health. What happens once you get mental health? You get labelled. Then they can fill you with pills. Then they can put you through their therapy, and we become products yet again. So anyway, guys, the only way to beat this system is don't use the system. If you're struggling with something, email me about it. It's a bit difficult because obviously that makes me responsible, and I don't have insurance. If anything happens to any of you, I am liable and responsible. Yeah, I'm also not, because I'm not a company. But the majority of people who turn to social services or to the system is because They're just not quite sure what to do in that time, and they think they're going to get a quick fix, but it's not, because the time that the paperwork takes, the majority of people have already taken their lives. They've already spiraled out of control, or they've been able to sort it, but now they've got a social stuck into their lives. So at the end of the day, we, the communities, can help each other. You know, love thy neighbour, start with thy neighbour, start by, you know, being able to help each other out, because we don't need social services in our lives. We don't need the system in our lives. Yeah, Kelly, that's very true. My son hates the police after stealing his sister. That's all it's doing. That's all it's doing. That's all it's doing. Aaron, my son, yeah, will end up having an issue with the police, because not only was he taken from me, at contacts they also used to bully us with the police, and on occasions when Aaron would be crying and screaming when they would want me to put him into the contact car, they would put the police behind me, so Aaron would have to do what he was told, because he would know they were going to take mummy, because mummy wouldn't put them in the car, you know. My son Liam ended up on his 18th birthday, spending his 18th birthday in the police cell, because he had a police officer barge past him and Liam flipped the lid. 18th birthday in a prison cell, just because he had a cocky police officer and Liam lost it with him, you know, saying, "You're all child thieves. You stole my brother, you stole my sister." So his 18th birthday he spends in a cell. Crazy. And also, I'm being intimidated by the police out here. Now, I'm going out today, and the reason that I'm going to log wherever I am is because the police do worry me. Social do worry me. The mental health unit do worry me. I could be another Melanie, sure. You know, if we weren't all standing up for Melanie right now, who would know where Melanie was? And if you don't know who Melanie is, I suggest you find out who Melanie is, because Melanie, like us, has been telling the truth all this time. So they want to keep her locked in a prison. I could have been. If it wasn't for all of you guys out here, I would have been in prison. I would have been. And it's because of you guys that I'm not. Because they know full well that if I get stepped into that prison, that you, well, I don't know, you might all just leave me and leave me to go through it myself, which actually that's what my mum said. My mum said, "Do you really think these people are going to come and visit you in prison, Kelly?" But the reality is, I think you would. I think if something happened, I think you would come forward. I've been here long enough to earn the respect that I think, you know. So we've got 2 parents today who are ultimately being put into prison today, you know. But why? Because at the end of the day, they took our kids. They took our kids, guys, and we're meant to just sit back and lay back and not do anything about this. Well, I tell you what, 400 years ago, it would have been off with their heads, ranched in, and we would have taken our kids back, yeah? It's the hierarchy. It's the upper class telling the lower class what to do. It's the middle class telling the lower class what to do, while the higher class are telling the middle class what to do. And what they're not liking is this class divide is being broken. You know, I'm living on a council estate right now. I'm on probably Portsmouth's, you know, main sort of council estate. But does that make me low level? I'm on benefits. Does that make me low level? Actually, I consider myself to be highly intelligent and quite articulate, and I have a degree to prove it. Not that my degree means anything. It's a psychology degree, and that certainly doesn't mean anything. You know, I know people who are living out on the streets. Professors living out on the streets. I know people who are crack smackheads, alcoholics, who are MPs, ex-MPs. Yeah, I know people who actually are in main prime positions, but come from very, 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 very nasty places. In fact, Suwali Nazim, our very self, yeah, was born and raised in one of the biggest war places. Looks like he's pulling a bit of a revenge strategy on us British people right now, and hopefully you're all going to open your eyes to the fact that I think that he's revenging on us. If you actually have a look at where Nadine comes from, even Donald Trump won't let the man into his country to see his boys because of his core values and beliefs. Says it all, people, says it all. Okay, before I go, sugar. In the UK, what is the biggest addiction in the UK? No, it's not crack. No, it's not tobacco. And no, it's not alcohol. It's sugar. So we went over and completely pillaged and raped all of the black culture for their sugar. And now we, the white people, are addicted to it. Call that revenge, hey? How to get them back. Yeah? You know, have your sugar. Go get addicted to it. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about. I'm off over to the Children's Centre and then I've got to go over to Fareham today. I'm going to go and speak to Fareham's MP as well. I'm going over to a Fareham's adoption agency. If there's anyone in Fareham that wants to catch up today, you're please more than welcome to do so. And then hopefully both of these boys will get some time to sleep so I can do my YouTube video. At some point I'm going to go over into what I call the office space because I want to rile everybody up to make sure that on the final day, on Friday, that we make sure that that hashtag and that message to support families wipes the fucking floor with these people, because I've had enough of it. I've had enough of it. At the end of the day, if you are take some of these celebrity adopters, yeah, wouldn't it be better to sponsor 4 or 5 families to stay together than take 1 or 2 children and destroy 4 or 5 families? You know, wouldn't it be better? So let's make celebrities famous. Sponsor a family to stay together. In fact, Amber, I know you're here. I actually do have the Facebook page, Sponsor a Family. So that is what I'm going to run with. Let's make celebrities keep families together, hey? How many celebrities can we get to sponsor a family to keep them together because they might not have a support network, they might have mental health issues. So yeah, let's get these celebrities to keep families together, hey? Because wouldn't it be nice for these people to get awards because they've actually kept families together, not awards because they've broken families up, destroyed families, and made the children grow up with false stories. Now remember, we got to keep balance because some children are abused, and I don't want to discredit that in any way, shape or form. I'm here about parents that children have been taken that could have been supported, where there could have been support situations put in place, where there could have been help put in place, and adult social services failed to come in because children and adult social services do not work together, and some of these parents have false accusations put together. And at the end of the day, I'm not surprised that this is how we feel. I'm not surprised that the majority of fathers are on their fucking arses, depressed, suppressed, not knowing what to do. And I'm not surprised that there are mothers who can't get their heads off the pillow and out of bed. Because at the end of the day, the biggest trauma in this world is to separate families. Because at the end of the day, that is why we are here. We as individuals cannot survive by ourselves. If you take a newborn baby and you put a newborn baby out on the bench on the street and say, hey, go look after yourself, support yourself, that baby will die. We need people. We were given grandparents, mums, dads, uncles, aunts, cousins, family for a reason, because we the individuals cannot be here by ourselves. I can't cut my hair by myself. I cannot look after my physical body by myself. I cannot carry and lift boxes to be able to move myself by myself. I cannot grow veg and clean a house and build a home and put the bricks together all by myself. It is physically impossible to ask one human being to do it all by themselves. We are meant to be teams. We are meant to work in co-symbioticness. We are meant to be a network of people. It's just that through all of your lessons in school, your maths, your English, your science, when did they teach you about relationships? When did they teach you about connection and love? When did they teach you about how to communicate with people? And when did they teach you about there's going to be some times that your mum and dad tell you you can't do something? It's for your own good. We're not taught the basic fundamental skills, and then when we fuck up, they persecute us for not knowing what to do. And at the end of the day, this whole system And it doesn't matter whether it's the children's system, the adult system, the police system, the prison system, the mental health system, the NHS system. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which one it is. It's all about us being a human being. It's just that they are branching off with all of these different labels so it can all create money. So before I go, this is Portsmouth City Council budget constellation for 2019 to 20. Let me just read this, because the point being with this is quite important. It might change the whole way that you think. Like all councils, we are facing further reduction of our government grant for next year's funding, meaning we will have less money for public services. The council currently has a budget of 470 million. However, 283 million of that is non-controllable spending. So basically, here in Portsmouth alone, they cannot go below the budget of I see, I'm dyscalculus, I'm afraid. So 283 million. So 283 million. They cannot go below that. So they're saying that they have to have that amount of money. And here's the reasons why. These include items that cannot be reduced. They have to pay these bills every month on the dot, year in, year out. They cannot not do it. Why? Because it's your housing benefit. Such as housing benefit and other benefits, pension obligations, borrowing costs and government funding that can only be spent on specific projects. That leaves us with 1.79 million of controllable spending over the next 3 years, starting in April 2019. It always starts in April, okay? Which is why that I use the calendar that I do to stand back against government, because everything is done by the calendar. So anyway, yeah. So basically, if I show you here, for every £100 the council in Portsmouth here gets, so take £100 and then they've got to split it. So £33 of that goes to health, wellbeing and social care. That's adult social care. So looked after vulnerable adults, including daycare, residential care and residential wellbeing. £16 of that goes to resources, including council buildings, grant, voluntary groups, managing people's benefits and council staff. £14 of that goes to children's services, so looked after vulnerable children, including children's centres. £4 of that goes to planning, regeneration and economic development. £5 of that goes to culture, leisure and sports. £2 of that goes to housing, which is actually tackling housing issues. It's not people who are in housing, but tackling homelessness. £4 of that goes to education. £13 of that goes to traffic and transportation, including maintaining the roads, safety, blah, 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 blah. And £9 of that goes to environment and community safety, which is the streets being cleaned, waste disposal, environmental health, antisocial behaviour, public toilets and sea defence, because obviously I live by the sea. So basically, if I listen to this, listen to this again. The council currently have a budget of 4 million, seriously, me and my numbers, sorry, 470 million. However, 283 of that is non-controllable expenses. That is housing benefit and benefits. Housing benefit and benefits. So basically the whole point of government going and being corrupt bastards is so they can keep housing benefit and our benefits going. So it is us people on benefits, on housing benefit, that is the drain to this country. Do you understand that? The people who are getting up and going to work on a daily basis are going to work to make sure that people like me and you that are in housing on benefits are staying safe. They have to keep that going, yeah? So when you look at it that way, we are the problem. So what is the easiest thing for them to do? Yeah? It's easier to take children and place children with people who own their own homes and their own jobs to make sure that at the end of the day, you know, they haven't got to pay for the benefits for your kids. And that's pretty much what it's about. So I'm here to basically teach you to be yourself, to know who you are, so you can be self-sufficient, self-employed, and live the dreams that you want to live in the homes that you want to be, so you can not be part of this system. Because at the end of the day, they are the ones that decide that the money should exist, but they are also the ones that are fucking up people so much that they don't know who they are, and then they point fingers on why they're sitting on benefit in council housing. And obviously with disabilities and things like that. But it doesn't matter what physical condition you have, you can still be part of society. And we want to be part of society, don't we? Because we want to live a better life. What's the matter, sweetheart? What is it? Talk to me. Vehicles. We're going to the toy things. Anyway, I've got to get my kids over to the toy thing, and then I've got to get over to Fareham, and I will speak to you all later. But please do see where I'm coming from with this. That at the end of the day, if we the people love ourselves, know who we are, know what we're about, know how we serve this world, know our own true value, have healthy relationships with ourselves and with others, then ultimately there's no reason to take our children, is there? We don't need the help that we could have had. So that's my game, really, to keep you out of the system. So anyway, my son really is starting to express himself now, and I need to get him over to the Toys Fair. So I'm going to go and catch up with Alan, and I'll see you all guys later. Take care, and just remember that you're more than a label. In fact, you're a lot more than you know that you are. It's time that you took back your heart, mind and soul and know your own power. So I'm going to see you later.